As good old Paul Joseph Watson would, would normally say, imagine my shock. But really, if you've been following Brexit, this is no shock. What we are going to be covering today is not so much news. It's not news that British companies are moving to the Netherlands, as we'll get to that in a bit. But if it is news to you, welcome. You've been clearly sleeping under this bit of nugget of information of news for quite a while. But anyway, that is what's been going on. But what the real news we're going to go over today is at the rate of British companies setting up hubs in the Netherlands. That is what the real news is here. Because time and time again, when we've covered some of these British businesses, just very recently, of course, the good food procurement place in Robert Jerrick's constituency, our UK business is no longer viable. So we're going to move all the manufacturing out of the UK to our European manufacturers. As we've said before and covered before, numerous times, exporters, people who have businesses in the UK but have, export to the EU. I've lost 30% of my business because I can't export anymore because people just aren't buying from me anymore because of how long it takes or the complications, or they get an extra, customs fine. They buy something for like 20 euros and they've got like a 30 euro customs fee they've got to pay afterwards when they receive the product. So obviously it just makes things so much more difficult. And then, as we've said before, there's the admin side for these British businesses. Doing this paperwork takes time. And as I always say, I had a friend, again, works in manufacturing. When Brexit happened, he now has to do an extra 2 hours worth of paperwork for one load. Not like for multiple loads, that's just one load. And he could be doing paperwork for numerous loads. And remember, it's got to be right. If you, don't dot an I or cross the T, as they say, or there isn't a signature in a box, or there's a signature not in the correct box, it can go wrong. And when we've seen other things like the Swiss border where this happens all the time, but they've had to deal with that for years, but it still happens a lot of the time. And it's just causing more and more of a nightmare for British businesses. And so what's the option? Oh, well, my export business is no longer viable in the UK, you say? Well, I'll just nip over to the Netherlands. And what is the news, as we said earlier about this? This isn't news. If you've been following Brexit like I have for any length of time, businesses moving over there is not the news. What is the news, as we're about to go into, is the rate at which it is happening. So before we go diving into this, please do remember to hit that like, share, and of course subscribe button. And of course down below there are links to my Patreon page and more updation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel that way. So over we go. So this comes from the London Economic with the title of "The Netherlands Seizes the Brexit Opportunities as British-Based Companies Relocate." Ministers for finding Brexit opportunities seem to be a surplus to requirement in the Netherlands, where businesses are setting up at a rate of knots to avoid the cross-channel trade issues. The influx of British-based companies to the country has swelled as they now struggle with the disruption of the customs border across the North Sea, the FT reports. More than 90 investors have built or even rented distribution space since 2017, half of them since 2021. And according to the government agency Invest in Holland, they include Hubbo, a logistics provider in online retailers. Martin Bish, the chief executive, said that it had to act after clients distressed as Brexit negotiations went to the wire back in December of 2020. We lost about 10% of our revenue, which was clients leaving the UK for Europe, he said. It was a chaotic landscape. Imagine that, losing 10% of your revenue. That is quite a scary number for a business to lose. You know, and even as we said before, we've seen businesses lose a lot more than that. He said, we just didn't know what to do, and there was almost no government advice. The Netherlands is a great place to set up businesses. They are ready to help, and they sit next to so many key markets, he said. Night and day. Night and day. Our government, no advice at all, because it knows it has no good advice to give out. Since 2017, the amount of warehouse space at Rotterdam Port has doubled to almost I don't know how you say that now, or over 400 hectares. There's a lot of demand, and Brexit is one of those factors, said Danny Lunsford, director of the break bulk at the port. The increase in demand for port services is up around a fifth. It is manageable, according to Mary Pelt, the business relations manager. We don't have queues. The longest wait is at least 4 minutes, and this is the time customs officials have to decide if they want to inspect something. But the number of UK customers has dropped from 367 to 300 since Brexit, as many truck companies just gave up on delivering to the EU because of increased paperwork. Rotterdam itself has attracted over 40 investments from companies in the UK operations at least since 2016, Roos Veldum, the alderman responsible for the economy at the city council. There is a dedicated council services for expats in English, and executives at foreign companies are welcomed at the red carpet dinner every year with the mayor. Bush of Hubo says that many British entrepreneurs now have to adapt to the new trading regime. He has been opened distribution centres in Spain and Germany and is looking to expand into the Netherlands. Meanwhile, in the UK, the suspension of the P&O services at the Dover terminal, as well as the bad weather and Easter traffic and IT issues, have all caused chaos, resulting in long queues for transports. Last week, the British Meat and Processors Association warned the waiting times had caused meat and other perishable goods to go bad. A spokesperson for the organisation told the PA News Agency that the suspension of the ferries had combined with other issues to create a perfect storm of problems with the export process. So, congratulations, I suppose, at least are in order. To the Netherlands, I suppose. If the port of Rotterdam happens to need, any marketing advice or anything like that, let me know. I'm open to offers. I am open to offers. And if any, of my European viewers in the Netherlands or anything like that see a job in where they need someone in the UK, hey, let me know. I am open to remote working. So, as they say, yeah, it's not a really surprise. Like I say, if you've been following all this, this has been going on for quite a while. Very much so since 2016. But again, what the news is and what needs to be reported, first of all, I think this is where we need MPs to start putting their heads above the parapet and start talking about Brexit. Imagine if an MP were to stand up and say, hey, Jacob, you're the Minister for Brexit Opportunities. Can you explain why I have companies in my, in my constituency basically saying we're moving our manufacturing bases over to places like the Netherlands where they are welcomed with help, advice, and yet here you are sat doing nothing, offering no quote opportunities or even incentives for our British-based companies to not move jobs and investment over to the continent. That is what I would love. I would love MPs to start standing up and saying it en masse. And that is one thing that we have to getting across to obviously the people out there as well, that Brexit was always going to be this sort of invisible force in the background where not many people can really see it unless you've been following it like we have. But sooner or later, the economic effects are going to really start to be felt, and questions will have to be asked. And of course, even if the Conservatives, I hope not, are still in power after the next election, they're going to have to start asking some difficult questions, and they are really going to have to start doing some serious tangoing around the issue of Brexit, because they cannot avoid it forever. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and of course the subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.